As news of the disaster first broke, there was no place for politics. All parties equally shocked and concerned for the victims and the bereaved. Mrs Thatcher heard the news during a meeting and at an early press conference spoke of her personal distress.
And it brings home to us very much that families have lost some of their dearest people just at a time when it's coming up to Christmas.
Later, as the rescue operation progressed, MPs began to raise questions about the cause of the tragedy and voice fears about overcrowding and safety on trains. Democrats leader Paddy Ashdown said the promised inquiry should examine whether investment in the South East Rail network should now be increased. Later, the Shadow Transport Secretary John Prescott said he was unhappy for the Department of Transport to be setting up the inquiry.
We've seen a tremendous increase in accidents, deaths and also derailments and collisions on British Rail over the last 5-6 years. I have no confidence any longer with the Department of Transport being able to do it. That's why I'm pressing very hard for an independent inquiry.
You've spoken about a crisis of confidence among passengers over safety. What do you think should be done immediately to address that?
Well, I'm pleased that the Secretary of State has set in hand the Railway Inspectorate and the Health and Safety Executive to do a preliminary inquiry, so we can look at the problems being suggested by congestion and indeed looking at the problems of whether the signalling's right and whether there's anything immediate we can learn about the technical problems. So that's quite right and proper, but a fuller inquiry and an independent one is absolutely essential if we're to get at the real reasons that have motivated the increase, I believe, in accidents and deaths on our railway system, both above ground and below ground.
Through the trains the other side of the...
Where's this one fella from the light?
Well, yeah. This is the real thing, again, it's just me and you.
Hang on, John.
It's a guy coming out from the
Something is on the way, James. Come on. Please.
I don't know, we're finished now.
Don't knock the tripod.
The spotlight tonight is on this signal box which straddles the lines at Clapham Junction. Gordon Pettit in charge of Southern Region.
Well, from the inquiries that we've made so far, it does look as though there may have been a technical fault associated with the signalling.
Faults in colour light signals so that they show a green when the line ahead is blocked are almost unheard of. But a massive programme has been going on to replace Clapham's 50-year-old lights operated from signal box A with a high-tech computer system. Thames filmed the signal box in the summer. Last Sunday, engineers were commissioning the new system to work alongside the old until that is phased out next year. It now looks as if the wrong wires may have been connected. Southern Region is desperately short of skilled signal technicians and has just raised their pay by £1,000 a year to keep their experts from leaving. Amid the carnage and bereavement, there was praise. Praise for passengers who helped one another until the professionals arrived. Praise for the fire service and ambulance crews who refused to go off shift until all the bodies were accounted for. And praise for the hundreds who responded to an urgent appeal for blood donors. Within hours of the disaster, there was a huge queue to offer blood at St George's Tooting.
The response has been fantastic. We've had so many donors coming in. We've had people calling from work that live around here, and they've just all been flocking in to give blood. It's been fantastic.
Tonight, travel from Waterloo was chaotic. The main line serving Woking, Portsmouth, Salisbury and Bournemouth, as well as all the suburban routes southwest of London, will be completely blocked until lunchtime tomorrow at the earliest. Wimbledon is the recommended changing point from the Underground. Many commuters took advantage of extra coaches laid on from Victoria Coach Station, and National Express say towns cut off from through rail services will have extra coaches up to London tomorrow.
Throughout the night and most of the day, teams of British Rail staff, contractors and engineers struggled to clear the wreckage. Shifts were forgotten. They worked as long as they had to. Massive cranes were brought in to lift sections that had been cut from the mangled wrecks. A squad of police from Birmingham were drafted in to help with the job of searching the area as each section was removed.
Officers have been going in searching for particularly personal property, recovering that, plus any evidence of parts of bodies that were left on the site. So it's been a question really of ensuring security of the scene.
Across the tracks at Emmanuel School, morning assembly was devoted to prayers for the dead, injured and bereaved. Staff and pupils dropped everything yesterday and rushed to help. One of the heroes is only 12. Yesterday was his birthday.
He opened up the window and I climbed through to see if everything was all right, and then I got out again and people were passing their bags to us and we was putting them on the side and then helping them out of the carriage.
So you actually went into the carriage? What was it like in there?
Well, it was it was like a steep floor, because you couldn't stand there because you would fall to the end of the carriage, so you had to hold on to the chairs. And there was all glass on all of the seats and the seats were ripped and people were screaming, there was blood all down their faces.
Weren't you terrified during all of this?
Yeah, I was really nervous. It was very frightening.
I went over one of the trains and in the space between the two trains, that was where all the problems were. There's about 10 people on the ground. I saw about 5 people dead straight away. And immediately when I went over, I saw somebody just staring at me who was obviously dead, which was probably the most devastating thing I think I've ever seen.
What were you able to do for the people there?
Well, the main thing I actually did was to pull everything off them, off the people who still had a chance to live. The people who actually died, I mean, well, we had to worry about the people who had a chance of actually living.
Education Secretary Kenneth Baker visited the school to congratulate them on their bravery.
They behaved in a very sensible, a very courageous way, in a very mature way.
By midday, most of the track was clear of heavy wreckage. Again, police were called in to search among the debris along the line. Officially, the area remained closed to the public, but that didn't stop some slipping through the cordon to pay their own personal tribute to those who died. Tricia Ingrams, Thames News.